having a day at the station, but just stick with me, and we will be up shortly.
Earlier, you're still looking at needing about an extra 20 to 25 minutes to get through that stretch. 8094 has a delay eastbound. Kennedy decline. There's a crash in the left lane with emergency crews in the area. 16 minutes from the Bishopford Freeway to the Indiana Toll Road westbound. It's 15. On the Eisenhower outbound, traffic is hitting the brakes from the tri-state to York. There's a stall in the left lane. 29 minutes downtown to 390 inbound. It's inbound Stevenson, inbound Rye, getting a little congested. I'm Jim Talamonte.
Hey, Silicon Valley, I love it.
Hey, where's Hal Sparks? I'm not sure where he is now, but I know where you can find him. It'll be right here on WCPT 820 for the Hal Sparks radio program. Mega worldwide.
With the value of the U.S. dollar continuing to slump due to unprecedented money printing, it has never been more important to protect your savings and retirement accounts from inflation. Many hardworking Americans, just like you and I, are turning to a proven method to protect what we work so hard to earn. Real gold. You can have real gold delivered privately and securely to your home, or have real gold put into your IRA or 401k. Just call Oxford Gold Group right now, 833-928-GOLD. The Oxford Gold Group will teach you everything you want to know about owning real gold. It's a lot easier than you think. Call the Oxford Gold Group now at 833-928-GOLD to get your free. I talk to them about getting real gold and silver delivered to your home, or about having real gold placed in your IRA or 401k. The Oxford Gold Group is here to help you protect your savings and retirement from the unknown. Call them now, 833-928-GOLD. So, what are you waiting for?
I'll be able to speak with you over the microphone.
You can hold for the Oxford Gold Group, 833-928-GOLD.
Oh, okay. I'm very just want to know what go so 6, okay? Thank you. No worries. Too, okay? We'll work it out. Okay? No, you are. It's going to be great.
Thank you so much. Hang on 1 second, okay?
I'm going up here. You can just text me who's on, or I'll just call for.
You got it.
All right. Thank you. If you call Reverend Williams, that would be great.
I already have a rocket, okay?
Yeah, I can't hear her.
Okay, I'll bring it up right now, okay?
Okay, bring her up. Okay.
You got it. Bye.
Hey, everybody in Chicagoland and in Minneapolis, St. Paul. San Show, trying to make sure that I am coming up this morning. This morning, we're going to be talking about woke Democrats, or the progressive Democrats, and the establishment Democrats. The establishment Democrats have been able to pull together some wins. And now Hakeem Jeffries, who's now one of the leaders of the establishment Democrats, who are, at this iteration of history, they're black. He's saying that, the progressives need to stand down, that their politics are a little lame because they're not delivering. But is that really true? No. And do we not need two wings to fly? So let's think about that, everybody. And of course, we're going to have Dr. Deborah Holden on to talk about COVID-19, to answer your questions, and to talk about a lot of these things. We're so concerned with our health now, which is a good thing, something that we have not been doing before. But you are listening to WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, certainly on my morning stars over here on Santita, Jackson and Friends. Everybody like and share. Raphael, how you doing, sweetie? And Lorraine and Mark and Lewis. And let me see who else. Is it Louis Chewy? I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. Wow, another 4-year-old shot and killed by another child. Wow, here in Chicago. Just came across my headlines. Pray for all of us. Pray for all of us here. Linda out there in the Mojave Desert. How is the weather out there, girlie? Andre, Linear Bob from Silicon Valley. I love it. Jewel, love you. Jewel, are you the Jewel who called in from New York yesterday? Oh, bless your heart. It was wonderful to hear you, but I was trying to connect you to a lawyer if you needed one. So call me back and let me know if you need anything. And so we've got a lot to talk about today. And of course, we will have Reverend Tisha Williams giving us some good news, but we're working everything out right now. I didn't have a board up. That's right. I got in. There was some confusion about who was going to do my show today. And so now Mike Mercado has stepped in, and he's doing a yeoman's job. And Cosme Lozano will be on at 7 o'clock. And so I'm grateful to them for working all of this out. In the meantime, I'm waiting to hear from them so that we can continue to get the show on the road, everybody. Can you believe the Olympics are just about over? And then we're going to have some more Olympics in a few more months in Beijing. How's that going to work out, right? We're in the midst of this pandemic. Oh. So everybody, stay right there. Stay right there. I'm trying to find out exactly what is going on with us today. But you know what? In the meantime, let's just go on and begin to get to some of these headlines. The Rainbow Push International Conference is ongoing. You can still go on and get registered. It's virtual. It's free. It's free. It's free and it's virtual. Go to rainbowpush.org and be a part. The keynote speaker for the labor luncheon, the labor session, Richard Trumka, and he made his transition yesterday. Wow, he was to have been the keynote speaker for the Rainbow Push International Labor Conference of our international conference, and of course, he's from the United Mine Workers, from a family of laborers, and no one fought harder for working people than Richard Trumka. Dead of a heart attack at the age of 72, but what a life he led, what a life he led, what a life he led. And so I dedicate the show to him today because his passing is such a shock to us all. We think of this, this big, strong, muscular man with this mustache. We cannot think of him uh, having his heart arrested, but he had a big heart who it was full of love for people. It was full of love for the poor, full of love for working people. And we thank God for him today. Richard Trumka, head of the AFL-CIO, made his transition at the age of 72. Not long, although he was going to retire this year, right? Well, at least he was going to leave that job. Someone like him, you never retire. So, let's get to, I want to know, Mike Mercado, where we are. Do we have Reverend Tisha Williams up? Let me know if she's there. Let me know if she's there. And then I'll just run through some more of these headlines for you. In Chicago, we're going to have a high of 83 degrees today and scattered thunderstorms. You can already see it's a little cloudy right now. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 86 degrees, mostly sunny. And the Dow closed up 271 points yesterday. The Nasdaq closed up 114 points, and the S&P 500 closed up 26 points. We're going to have a crosstown series here in Chicago today. The White Sox will be playing the Cubs. Love it, love it, love it. And the Twins, well, they were triumphant over the Astros yesterday, 5-3. How many of you are still watching the Olympics? They close this weekend. Have they been exciting? Have they been full of a lot of what you didn't expect, right? Did we expect what happened with Simone Biles? No. Did we expect the 400 relays? What happened with America's team, with the men? Why? Even Carl Lewis said this is an embarrassment. In fact, they have an issue with that. I don't know what the deal is. But in the meantime, guess what? The United States number one in the medal count, but China's number one in the gold medal count. For those people who want to split hairs and parse, the United States has 92 medals. China has 75 medals. Japan has 47 medals. Great Britain has 54. Australia has 43. Russia has 60. And on and on and on it goes. Wow, everybody. So are you watching? Are you watching? Well, we're going to see. And the women's volleyball team from the United States, they won. I saw that last night. I didn't think I'd really get that into volleyball, but I am. You know what? I respect anyone who um, who has skills, right? I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, let's get right to it, everybody. I'm going to find out from Mike Mercado if we have Reverend Tisha Williams on, because I want to bring her on so that you can get some good news. But we're going to be talking. I want you to respond to Hakeem Jeffries, who's one of the new leaders of the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives. Many people say that he could even become Speaker of the House. That's right. And in fact, he got into an entanglement, interestingly enough, with Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee, who's a well-known progressive. In fact, she was the only member of Congress to refuse to vote to invade Iraq. Remember that? She absorbed all kind of death threats, and she was up for a leadership position. And she, out of nowhere, was challenged by Hakeem Jeffries, and people felt so smarted by that that Nancy Pelosi had to create a position for her because, in fact, he joined. He joined. I guess he linked arms with the guy who AOC defeated. Oh, you just can't make this stuff up, everybody. You can't make this stuff up. But anyway, he's saying that he is tired of the woke left because they're not delivering. But is that true? Is that true? I want you to call me or text me at 773-763 WCPT, 773-763-9278. But I'm going to find out if we have Reverend Tisha Williams on. So, Mike Mercado, let me know if she is on.
I'm here.
Okay,
Thank you.
She is
wonderful,
ready to rock.
wonderful, wonderful. Hey, Mike Mercado, you're the rock star. Thank you so much. We called him in from another building. NewsWeb is a vast network of radio stations. And, just things happened. There was a scheduling conflict, and I didn't have a board op. Found that out just, maybe 45 minutes, then 30 minutes or so before I went on the air. But Mike is in another building, and he's actually doing the show. And so my hat goes off to you. Thank you, Mark Pensky, for working it all out. But thank you, Mike Mercado, and thank you, Cosme Lozano, for coming in. But Mike, thank you. You are the rock star. You really are. And thank you so much. So you know what, Mike, relax. I want you to get some good news from this great pastor theologian. This great woman who inspires us every Friday. Of course, she's the pastor of the First Baptist Church of Bridgehampton, New York. Girl, we need some good news today because we know what to expect. Hey, sis.
I'll see you soon. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, as always, for having me. This is certainly the highlight of my Friday. So, talk this morning. Oh, thank you. I want to talk this morning about being ripe for recon. Our text this morning is coming from the book of Numbers. God spoke to Moses, "Send men to scout out the country of Canaan that I am giving to the people of Israel." About any of you, but I want to take a little walk back. And I remember that every night from 1983 to 1987, I tuned in to watch a band of merry mercenaries called the A-Team. And if you remember the A-Team, it was led by Lieutenant Colonel John Hannibal Smith and Lieutenant Templeton Peck, usually called Faith. They had a pilot whose name was Captain H.M. Murdoch. And finally, there was the team strongman and mechanic, Sergeant First Class Bosco B.A. Baracus, played by none other than Mr. T,
Yes.
the A-Team. When Hannibal heard word that someone wanted to hire the A-Team, he put them through a series of tests to see if they were a good person. Team of 12 and 18, if you will, Rangers recruited by God and led by the major we call Moses for the ultimate. Send men to scout out the country of Canaan that I'm giving to the people of Israel. In other words, God requested recon. But what is recon? Recon is short for reconnaissance. And reconnaissance is a preliminary survey or mission to gain information by visual observation or other detection methods about the activities and resources of an enemy, potential enemy, or geographic characteristics of a particular area. And there are different types of reconnaissance. And as we take a seat in the Situation Room, we find that military strategist Moses mobilizes many of them. Let me walk you through this real quickly. First, there's civil-oriented reconnaissance, which focuses on the civil dimension of a battle space, the areas, the structures, the capabilities, the organizations, the people. And here we see that Moses commands his spies to go up through the Negev and then into the hill country, look the land over. What is it like? Assess the people. Are they strong? Are they weak? Are there few? Are there many? I wonder if I'm talking to someone today. Maybe it's a new career in your future and it's time to do some reconnaissance. Much like the Israelites in Egypt, Perhaps you found yourself working for the same institution for years, overworked and underpaid with little chance of promotion. Perhaps God is calling you right now to spy out a new company and assess its structures, capabilities, organizations, people, and events. Next, there's terrain-oriented reconnaissance, and this is a survey of the land. When Moses sent them off to scout out Canaan, he said, look at the land. Is it pleasant? Is it harsh? Is the soil fertile or barren? Are there forests? Bring back a sample of the produce that grows there. What areas in your life are proving to be unfruitful in this season? Is it time to focus your energies in a new area? Perhaps a divorce has dried you out. Legal woes have withered you. You've been farming the same fields and plowing the same problems only to reap an ever-increasing harvest of hardships. Maybe in this next season, you won't have to work so hard to get so little. Perhaps God is summoning you to survey new soil. Years will reap a harvest of joy. And lastly, there's force-oriented reconnaissance, which focuses on the enemy forces. He says, describe the towns where they live. Are they open camps or fortified with walls? What Moses is really asking is, are we going to do this the easy way or the hard way? And employing this reconnaissance tactic is what makes recon so vital. You need to know what you're up against. Some of you are afraid to scope out something new because of the scope of work it will take on your part. You've been so used to doing things the easy way that you'd rather just walk into an open camp than have to break the fortified wall. But why recon? As their commander, Moses, his primary objective was to gain information about the productivity of the land and the strength of its inhabitants. What are you saying, Tish? I'm saying that we're faced with unprecedented circumstances, uncharted territory in life. Our default is to engage in aggressive recon with bold identification, taking what we're armed with infinite inspiration and little to no information. Before engaging in any new activity, ask yourself what you need to know about it and move to obtain the information on it. You need to do some recon. In fact, recon is a preliminary and especially exploratory survey of a thing. Then dating is recon for relationships. Babysitting is recon for parenting. Interviewing is recon for an employer. Saving is recon for investing. Mentorship is recon for entrepreneurship. Simply put, you've got to scope it before you seize it. I've got good news for you today. If you're on the cusp of the desert and the promised land and you're wondering if it's time to mobilize, I want to tell you that it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, God will allow you to be an active participant in procuring your promise. God, every once in a while, gives you a unique opportunity to walk through it before you walk in it. Here's the good news today. By the time you walk through it, God has already secured it because you're not the only one doing recon. God sent men to scout out the country of Canaan that he was giving to the people of Israel. So get excited today because God has done some recon just for you. What you thought destroyed, God has reconstructed. What you thought unforgivable, God has. What you thought dysfunctional, God has reconfigured. What you thought dead, God has reconfirmed. What you thought deserted, God has reconditioned. What you thought wrecked, God has reconnected. What you thought discouraged, God has reconvened. What you thought was church, God has reconceptualized. I know that some of you are on the cusp of war right now and that you're moments away from engaging in battle and you just need a break. Here's the good news this morning. Recon is all that's required of you right now. Have a blessed day, everybody.
Oh my goodness. He's preparing me for something I cannot handle right now. Whew. He's making me ready just because he cares. I think I hear Daryl Coley right now. God, rest that. Because for everything God has done and all that God is doing, because prepared for. But I promise you, you're being prepared for that next thing. But you gotta get to it. My grandmama Helen said, "God rest her soul. If you can't take it, you can't make it." I said, "Ow." Okay.
Amen.
Pastor Tisha Wilson, stay right here. We've got Dr. Deborah Verholden, brilliant epidemiologist, world-renowned epidemiologist, the Associate Dean of Public Health at Michigan State University. Indeed, she was brought from Johns Hopkins to create that School of Public Health at the renowned Michigan State University. We have got just every day, I saw something unprecedented, or at least to me, that it let me know that there's a lot going on, Dr. Deborah Holden. I saw Dr. Rochelle Walensky, the head of the CDC, on Wolf Blitzer's show for almost 30 minutes, almost. I mean, an interview. He was talking with her about people and their doubts about, the changing messaging, right? The changing messaging um, and just where we are. And it was not these one and done interviews, Dr. Deborah Holden. It really was. Um, it was quite intensive. It almost took up a whole half hour. What are you seeing on the ground? I only have about 4 minutes, but they belong to you. They belong to you. We had some challenges getting up to date, but again, I want to thank Mike Mercado and Mark Pinsky for working all this out. Where are we in this COVID-19 fight? And as we go into a weekend, what do you want us to do?
Well, I do want people to continue to protect themselves. We've got these little surges now popping up in different parts of the country. And my concern is the problem is popcorning around. We had a surge in Michigan back in April. We came out of that. Now, things are kind of going off the rails in certain, western parts of the country and in Florida. We had this big Lollapalooza, and all those people who were around each other will now be going home. So
all over the country,
people will likely be bringing the COVID back to their hometown.
All over the country, and Milwaukee just had the big, celebration in the streets. I'm not mad at them because it took a long time for the Bucks since 1971. But wow,
Yeah.
Because people are getting that back out. What should we be doing?
The same thing you've been doing. People, when you're out, if you're out in a large crowd indoors, you should be masked. You should be masked. That's protecting you from others and also others from you. And I'm not telling people that they have to practice the physical and social distancing, because that will literally be impossible if you leave the house. Mm-hmm. I mean, the day of people standing right up on your back at the grocery store, that's back.
Oh, yeah.
That's back. A lot of the places don't even have the little markings on the floor anymore. And if they do, people just don't honor them. But you can be mindful of your distance to people, especially people that you don't know, and when you're indoors. And then, as always, this notion of practicing good hand hygiene, if people would just take that with them for the rest of their life, we would have a lot less illness in the world. And then the most important thing is now's the time to take the reins of your health. Mm. Anybody who did not get their screenings last year, women, go get your mammograms. Everybody, go get your colonoscopies. Go get your metabolic workup. Go get your cholesterol checked. Go see your primary care physician. If you don't have one, reach out to your local federally qualified health center and get one. And for people who don't have insurance, affordable care has actually really become affordable. And you can be up to 300% of three times the federal poverty level, and pay as little as $10 a month for health care that previously cost people on the order of $500 to $600 a month, making it cost prohibitive. So take the reins of your health. This is now endemic. It's going to be with us. We're all going to have to learn how to live with it. But people can protect themselves individually, and I think we know what to do that.
Dr. Deborah Holden, everybody, Michigan State University, Associate Dean of Public Health, brilliant epidemiologist, and of course, we have Reverend Tisha Williams giving us some good news today. Hey, everybody. Let's just get the good news and keep on going. And please take care of your health, everybody. I see so many people walking around. I hear you, Daryl. People are unmasked. People are literally riding you in the grocery store and every place else. And whether you have been vaccinated or not, you still need to observe these protocols. I can't get into the whys and wherefores right now. All I know is that this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do so that you don't have the breakthrough virus or so that you don't get the virus. But if you do get the virus, you need to know which therapeutics to ask for. You need to know that. And when we come back next week, Dr. Deborah Holden, we need to talk about that because a lot of people are getting stonewalled when they present positive for COVID-19 and they ask for therapeutics now. They're just sent home. That's not, you have more options than that, and we need to begin to demand those. Everybody, let's talk about is Democrats and, and the woke Democrats, the progressive Democrats. Are the progressive Democrats the problem? Really? Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a few minutes.
Back on.
I'm back on the air? Okay. Mercado, just let me know. It's okay if you come on the mic. Are we on the air right now?
You guys are rocking and rolling on a break.
Okay, we're on a break. Very good. Thank you so much. We were not on just now. We were not on the radio just now.
After you hit the break, I took you guys off to talk on Facebook.
Great. Okay, well then, what? I'm going to let Dr. Deb go, and I'm going to let Dr. Tisha Williams, unless you all want to stay for this segment where because we're talking about the woke Democrats and the establishment Democrats. Dr. Deb, you want to stay? I mean, you all can.
I have to hop off.
Okay. Dr. Deb, you want to stay?
Me too. I gotta go to Robert's show, Robert Patillo.
Oh, so you're doing him today?
Him today.
He's taking all my guests. Okay. All right. All my people. All right. Ain't nobody telling me nothing. That's all right. You know me. I'm the connector.
Dr. Deb, I left your message yesterday, and I can call you back again today if you're available.
Wonderful. I am available today. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Sending you all much love. Thank you so much today. Here. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great rest of the show.
I'll call you. Thank you, sweetie. I'll call you all both later. How about that? Oh, ouch.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Have a great one, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that word. Ooh, thank you. All right. So what do you think about the woke? Are the Democrats the problem? Call me or text me at 773-763-WCPT, 773-763-9278. I want to know who is the problem. Anyway, to be a problem. Do we have to really go there? Do we? No, we don't. But, and I'm going to tell you, one of the things that I have learned in life is that you should be gracious in victory and defeat. Always be gracious. Always be gracious. In fact, that's a measure of your character. That's something that my father would emphasize all the time. He said, don't gloat when you win and don't mope when you lose. Okay? Don't gloat when you win. Don't mope when you lose. Because the way life works, you end up having to come back from fourth and you go, just think about that. Wherever you're going, you got to come back to where you started from. That's just the way it works. Think about that. So the woke left and the true progressives are not the same, but the thing is, Vicky, you need everybody, right? I don't know a world where you can throw people out. That's the beauty of watching your pastor in your church work, or the rabbi in your synagogue, and the imam in your mosque, and you just keep on going, because they have to bring people together. You have to find somewhere in the body, in God's body, for people to fit, because we all do. We all do. So think about that. I think that this creating this new group of Dwight McKee, are you there?
1 second, Santita. We actually just lost him. I'll bring him back up for you.
Okay, is Attorney Hoffler there? Okay. Yeah, you know what happened, Bab? You said you don't know what you call people who don't vote. 13% of Cleveland voted right. It was a very, very low turnout.
Is ready to rock and roll with Miss
Okay.
Jackson.
Okay, fantastic. PK?
Good morning, Santita. How are you?
Girl, I'm always rolling up on you late. But you know what happened to me the past few days? I think a delayed reaction to grief, very high, over the past. It's crazy. I've been really, really, really exhausted. I mean, and I will sit down and fall asleep. Well, yeah, I mean, I've buried like one of my closest friends ever in life, right? And then like three more. And then by the time between July, 10th and now, this past week, like 7 or 8 close people to me have passed on. It's like they're parachuting out of here. Oh, yeah.
He's on the air too.
Thank you. So, I think it. So, pardon me for this late outreach in the middle of the night. That's when I'm.
That's okay.
And I'm sitting on my sofa and I'm falling asleep. Boom.
Well, it's your body telling you have to allow yourself to grieve.
I think so. I really do. I really think so. I do. Because I do feel it. I feel it. I think that's it. I think that's it. I'm feeling it. And, because I haven't done a lot of crying. I have done a lot of thinking, a lot of praying. But I think I've cried in that way. I've just gotta, I gotta sleep.
Wow.
It's okay. You know what? God allows, and I tell you what, it's made me even more purposeful. Do Dwight McKee, you there?
I'm right here.
Okay, very good. You said wherever you are, it sounds great. And of course, you're on with attorney C.K. Hoffler.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Morning, y'all.
Very good. Bless your heart. Okay, so we got this. And oh, Karen, I hear you. Karen, I'm going to bring your comments up on the show. Um, I think, but there was also a lot of other money, a lot of international money that came into Chantel Brown's campaign, because I've been reading about her campaign internationally. It's very interesting. Let me know, Mike Mercado, if we are up yet. Just let me know.
You folks are rocking, and Cosme is back.
Okay, all right. So can I come up on the air now?
Work that magic.
Okay, am I up now on this on the Santita Jackson Show? Mike, just let me know if I'm live.
You are live in the greatest city in the world with Miss Jackson.
Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show on WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station. Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT 9278. I want to hear what you think about the woke left, the progressive Democrats, the establishment Democrats. What do you think is going on here? We heard, of course, many people were looking at the Nina Turner race in Cleveland, right? And Nina Turner Brown race, of course. Nina Turner, former state senator, who also probably the most prominent voice for when he was running for president, and she's very closely aligned and allied with him now. Although she had supported Hillary Clinton in 2016, but she shifted allegiances because his politics resonated with her much more profoundly. Chantel Brown, a very prominent figure in establishment Democratic circles, and she is someone who's highly regarded in Cleveland as well. You said something very interesting, Karen Lene. You said you listened to the Clay Kane show, and he had, I'm reading what she has written, he had folks, national pundits from Cleveland on his show. Supposedly, both campaigns had heavy hitters and money backing them. And Nina Turner lost because she hadn't been locally involved. In addition, he was voting taste for the Democratic Party and President Biden. Locally, Chantel Brown resonated with the constituents who are woke. There's no question about that. Some silent issues. There's no question about that. If you look at Reverend Jesse Jackson's campaigns from '84 and '88, one of the things that he always did, he did so well because he brought his voters with him. And that's something. If you're running, and make no mistake, despite Turner's high profile, she still is an outsider. You have to register your people to vote because the people you register are absolutely going to go to the polls and vote for you. So, but there was a lot of money, a lot of national money, Karen, that came in for Nina. A lot of international money and a lot of international interests were in Chantel Brown's campaign. So there's a lot. There's a lot, and there was a lot riding on this particular race. And so we're going to see how all of that plays out. We're going to see how all of that plays out. But Hakeem Jeffries, who is now really um, probably the most prominent young black establishment Democrat. In fact, he and Terry, uh, I can't believe I'm forgetting. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name out of Alabama. A brilliant young woman who is a friend of mine, by the way. Um, they have become like the faces of the new black young establishment Democratic Party, and of course, and he ended up. Um, Everyone expected Barbara Lee, the congresswoman out of California, out of Oakland, to move into a position of leadership in after the 2020 election, and but he came out of nowhere, supported by the woman who by the guy AOC. People walked away not feeling great about that, but that's politics. But not feeling great about it nonetheless, and so Nancy Pelosi created a leadership position for Barbara Lee because of that. But in the meantime, many people expect Hakeem Jeffries possibly to become the first black Speaker of the House, and he is heading up a new the I guess they would be like today's Blue Dog Democrats. It's very interesting to watch because now the Blue Dog Democrats or the establishment Democrats, not Blue Dog, but establishment Democrats, they're now black people. But coming out of Chicago, you always had to fight the establishment in order to get progressive politics, in order to get the things done that we needed to get done. So Hakeem Jeffries um, has said, something that a lot of people are beginning to look at today. He said the extreme left is obsessed with talking trash about Democrats when the majority of the electorate, constituent mainstream Democrats, are at the polls. In the post-Trump era, the anti-establishment line of attack is lame when President Biden and Democratic legislators are delivering millions of good paying jobs, the fastest growing economy in 40 years, and a massive child tax cut. I hear him, but the problem is this: what's driving Joe Biden, who is a centrist, are the progressives. Those 80 million votes didn't just come out the sky. So I want to know what you're thinking today. I mean, because I really don't want to. I think I know you need wings to fly, and you need resistance to help keep you up in the air. That's a simple law of physics, and that's spiritual law. So let's be clear: it takes all of this stuff to make this thing work. But I had to reach out to Attorney C.K. Hoffler, chair of Rainbow Push, outgoing president of the National Bar Association, host of our own show on WAOK in Atlanta. Now it's all over the world every day. And in fact, her segment has helped to push the show to number one. We're so happy for her, and she's going to be starting a legal segment here on the Santita Jackson Show in the next couple of weeks. And so, I want to talk with her, outgoing president of the National Bar Association, and we also want to hear from Dwight McKinney, who has so much experience in Chicago politics. Well, you know what? CK, with all due respect, let me start with Dwight. Because, coming out of Chicago,
Absolutely.
you're always, CK, you always have to push against, and you know this, we have to push against the establishment in order to get on the ballot. That's how Reverend and Bill Singer, the alderman, had to run against the establishment Democrats to get seated on the floor of the Democratic convention. Reverend always had to run against the establishment Democrats when he was running for president. So, Dwight, your thoughts about what Congressman Jeffries said, that that this is lame, the establishment Democrats are delivering, and they are, but I think it's the progressives who are pushing them to deliver. Dwight?
Well, good morning, everybody. you have to look at who the role models are for the young politicians, particularly those of color, who have ambitions. Their role models are Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. They talk very progressively, but both of them played to the right. They were very, very progressive in their delivery, their political delivery. Both of them played to the center or to the right of the left, because they saw an opportunity to, in their minds, to make sure that the party was entrenched in mainstream of traditional democratic politics, which is pretty much not that far from mainstream Republican politics. When we talk about progressive is relative. Today, it seems like if you don't want people to be homeless, that's progressive. If you want people to have a minimum wage job, the fact that they're eating at all is progressive. Food banks today are considered progressive. And so it's really relative to not so much as to where the people are, is to what the ambitions of the politicians are for themselves and for their careers.
CK, what?
In particular, how we define progressive. You know, if you say anything that people believe is being an advocate for the least of these, Black and brown people, you are a progressive. And because we suffered through the Senate runoff elections here in Georgia, that also makes you a radical. A radical, yes, a radical. So I think the definitions mean something. I just look at the big picture. I think there was a difference in style between the two candidates. I think there was a difference in approach that really resonated. I talked to some people in Cleveland, so I knew we would be discussing this, and they both candidates were formidable. But for where we are today, many people felt that it's not that Nina Turner's that her day had passed, but they just wanted some new, fresh, a new, fresh perspective for where they felt they could be led during these troubled times. And they felt that a more, we call it establishment, or a more, a different approach might best serve the community. And that's, I think, what it boiled down to.
Both
of them were well respected. It's not like you had one that came out from nowhere and the other candidate was somebody who everyone loved. I think both candidates were respected, and I think people felt that both of them had a lot to give. Now, there was a whole lot of money that came in from outside sources, but that's part of the Democratic establishment. If they want someone to win, they can pour a lot of money in and victory in terms of where the money is used for helping with campaigning. So I wasn't raised with that. I think that can be very, very, I think the community really felt that they wanted a bit of a change.
Well, a bit of a change. And remember, Black people are also very, very conservative in our demeanor. I remember, many people, I remember working at Fox News, which of course you remember, CK to Dwight McKee. And one of the things Roger Ailes would say to me was that I surprised our audience. He said, "You've surprised the audience." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're much more conservative than they thought that you would be. They didn't have any idea that that you had the demeanor that you have, and all of that." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "I'm a product of the church." I went to a church where you could not wear, as a woman, you could not wear pants. As a child, when we went to Vacation Bible School, you didn't wear pants. So I said, "I don't know why I'm a surprise." He said, "Well, you are." And I think that, because not Maria, but Nina is very fiery, very fiery. I mean, and she comes from a place where she lost her mom early. She had to take care of her siblings. I mean, she has had to fight, 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 fight. I understand that. She reminds me of my mother's mother in that way. Um, I also understand Santita Brown, who has really the demeanor, I would say, of a teacher, right? Which is which really, quite honestly, that rests better with Black folks, no matter what our politics are. And I think that that's something for us to think about. But um, I think we're going to have to become even more substantive and quite understand how to play to your audience, because I guess one of the things that threw people off about Reverend Dwight, you said people didn't understand just how conservative he was socially, and so when we introduced him at the convention in 1988 and people saw that we could all speak, that we were articulate, nice, bright, clean kids. He actually raised his kids. I'm like, who do you think we are? That all that is something that matters. Although Nina is a married woman with grown children, she's a grandmother. I mean, she has broken a cycle of pain, and she's come all the way up. But I think you're right, CK. I think it is a stylistic thing. Dwight, before we go to the callers, your thoughts?
Well, that's what I mean when I say these things are so relative. Is because not only could women not wear pants, men could not wear dresses. Well, today, that's considered reactionary because you got a movement of the gay movement to not have the option, if that is your gender preference, to wear a dress is considered the progressive position, and to oppose that is considered the recalcitrant, reactionary tradition. And so progressive and status quo really changes and has to be by issue, situation by situation, opportunity by opportunity. There is such a nebulous landscape today that you really don't know what issues, what your position needs to be in terms of progressive politics, traditional status quo politics. It's a hard call, you all.
Well, we're going to see how it all works out. Let me go. Is it to Daniel from New Hampshire?
Yes, it is Daniel from New Hampshire.
Wonderful hearing your voice. Okay, you know what? I need you to roll up your window so that we can hear you.
I'm actually in a big truck and I've got my windows.
Okay. Just be careful as you're driving. Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Left versus center. Another way I like to think about it is essentially the new conservative party or the pro-business party versus the party for the people. And I think if Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot, I mean, I'll be honest, they're clamoring towards the middle, and well, not towards the middle, clamoring back towards the right, and they're shooting the left in order to do it. And it's like you said, the middle may win, but the left still, holds the policy. Like, what is the policy of the centrists? I'm sick and tired of hearing we need to be more pragmatic. You need to wait for your universal health care that is exactly what Medicare was designed to be how many years ago. You need to wait for a living wage when we haven't had a wage increase in 12 years, and every time there's a conservative president, they get tax cuts. They don't wait for tax cuts, they get them. They don't wait for deregulation, they get it. So why is it if we are the majority, if we are the workers, if we are that are actually in need, we need to be more pragmatic. We need to, listen, take your crumbs and be happy with it. Eventually you'll get closer to what you want. But when it comes to the rich, it's like, oh, absolutely. Of course you need a bigger yacht. We'll give you a tax cut on it. And
So do you think that our progressives is the woke left a problem, or is it are they an opportunity for Democrats?
there's a future of the Democratic Party.
How about that?
Well, maybe not. There's the future of the country. You know, it's like, I forgot who said it, but people my age younger, I'm a 37-year-old man.
Mm-hmm.
We realize that, like, we are sick and tired of simply cleaning up the mess of the Republicans. And all the while,
Attorney Hoffler's back.
we're still like, hey, listen, yeah, you fought against the country in the war, but we're not going to hold that against you. Nixon, yeah, you know, you spied on Democrats, told Democrats, you're a criminal, but we're not going to hold that against you. If you're a criminal, we're not going to hold that against you. Bush, you're a criminal. But in the interest of bipartisanship, we're just going to let it slide. And I'm scared. Like, you know, Trump's a criminal. You know, like, the Republicans put the con in the Republicans. Is Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, are they going to pardon all of these criminals in the interest of
Well, you know what, Daniel, I think you're bringing up something really important. I remember when Reverend Jackson was looking at running for president, or really having a progressive push, not just Reaganism that was creeping into the Democratic Party that we'd already seen, right, Dwight and CK. I mean, let's go back very quickly. You had two of the most popular Democrats in the country. Of course, Senator Ted Kennedy and Vice President Mondale, who was the nominee presumptive of the Democratic, having lost in 1980 with Jimmy Carter. Everyone expected him of the party, and he went and got the Black establishment Democratic and Black establishment leadership endorsements. And just surprise, through a whole series of events, we had an opportunity to get a Black mayor in Chicago, Harold Washington. He was asked by Reverend Jackson, Kennedy and Mondale were asked by Reverend Jackson and then Mayor Barry and Mayor Hatcher out of Gary, Indiana, leaders in the Democratic Party, also leaders in the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Please don't come in. Do not come in and support your candidates because we need Harold, old segment of your party, so stay away. They basically told us to go straight to the devil, and they came in. They were pelted with eggs. It was a mess. And the Reverend said, look, the Republicans write us off, Democrats take us for granted. Democrats can't just come in here and do this. Somebody's got to run for president and up in this. That's what happened. And Reverend was trying to young and former mayor of Atlanta, because he said they're more than I am. I'm too much of the firebrand. And he had been President Carter's chief surrogate in 1980, because President Carter was too unpopular by the fall of 1980 to even campaign for himself. So Reverend had to do it. He said, I know how to campaign. I know how to. But Andy, Maynard, y'all should do it because you will have greater appeal to the white community and Black folks will love you. They already love you, so let's go. They wouldn't do it for Maynard Jackson, had just gotten married, as you remember, CK to Valerie, God bless her. And he had started a family. And Uncle Andy said, Jesse, here you go again. Bless your heart. Well, history has now been written. It is what it is. But all the while, Reverend had to run against the Democratic Party. All the while. Everything we've ever had to do. Ralph Metcalf had to depart from the mainstream Democratic Party to get some, to help us, because the Democratic Party had a lock on Chicago. There's a book called Boss. In fact, there was a television called Boss that helps you to understand that Mayor Daley, prototype for American politicians. And if you want to know how to lock up a city block by block, and the Democratic machine is still in place today, and he's been dead almost 50 years, you need to study this.
30 seconds.
But I think it's something for us to think about. What about, is the left the problem for the Democratic Party? Why is that always the problem? The left is the energy. And you just heard Daniel. Daniel said, I'm not 40. Left-wing politics, that's our future. Think about that, everybody. I want to hear from you. 773-763-WCPT, 773-763-9278. Mike Mercado, thank you today. Cosme Lozano, thank you today. Boy, oh boy, wouldn't have been able to get up on the air without you guys. Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show on WCPT and AM 950 Radio in just a few minutes.
Hello?
I'm trying to find out if we're out.
Yeah, we are. I don't know if we're getting any audio.
I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, okay, hold on a sec.
That's
I'll be right back.
That's why when in doubt, I stay out. So I'm waiting for the music. That is something that I learned as a background singer.
We're out. You guys are out.
Okay. I'm not hearing any music at all. Nothing. Okay. But thank you all. Oh, thank you all so much. Okay, but we'll get back. We'll get back to that in a minute. But thank you all today. Oh. And thank you. Oh. Okay. So I got you, CK. Thank you. Okay. Very good. Okay. Everybody call me. I want to hear what your thoughts are. What are your thoughts? But CK, you're right. I mean, I called some people in Cleveland, and at the end of the day, Dwight is the one who told me, no, you don't realize just, the conservative background that you come from. And I guess because our politics were always very forward and progressive. But, when many progressives, white progressives in particular, would see us coming, they kind of looked at us quizzically because we weren't quite what they were expecting.
And Dwight, I'm steal your expression. If you support the homeless, you're progressive. Because that's so true. We saw that play out with Raphael Warnock. He was a radical, and they had him. It's an unbelievable thing. And I said, radical?
Wait, Raphael.
Radical?
Like Raphael Warnock?
Right. He is radical.
Oh my gosh.
And I say that I'm a fan of Raphael Warnock, but he is not radical
at all.
And that is why he was supported. So no matter what they were saying, he was so supported because he was someone that people could really accept and digest. His story was so appealing, and his campaign was really kind of basic. What he did, which I thought was lovely, he was always on the offensive. He said, okay, this is what's coming. This is what comes. What you're going to hear is that I'm a radical, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this, I'm a that. I don't even like dogs. And then they had him he was holding the dog in his hand. I mean, something so simple. I laughed for 20 minutes over the dog thing. You're going to hear that I don't like dogs. And then they showed him with a picture petting a dog in his arms, talking to the dog, and it just kind of underscored the hypocrisy, the stupidity of what they, and little things like that, were just, he had, let's not undermine this. He had the whole Spelman Morehouse gang.
Go away.
Talk about, this
CK, this is a man of Alpha Phi Alpha from Morehouse. Are you serious?
He had people. Don't take this the wrong way, but he had black mafioso elites. Oh yeah, it's gonna be one. Plus, how about this? He's the senior pastor of Dr. King's church.
Come on.
So in terms of if that was a lock, and he had the right demeanor.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're coming down to. This is coming
down to.
Is
they are more Greek than Aristotle, y'all.
What, Dwight?
Mm-hmm.
They are more Greek than Aristotle.
I'm gonna have to borrow that too.
Oh man!
I just have to borrow your expression.
Freeway due to
We are
a
more
vehicle
Greek than
crash with
Aristotle.
injuries. The Indiana Toll Road has westbound delays.
Coach May, actually, I've got the radio
Road
now.
49 near Road 1
That's great. Perfect. Thank you. But you're right. I mean, that's why when President Obama went to Morehouse, admonishing them to be good fathers and to take care of your families, I was like, who told you to say this there? Are you kidding me? This is not the group you say this to. Oh my gosh. And they were a little warm about it. They were already warm because he had offended someone down there. I was like, honey.
Archie Bunker could have made that same speech, Santita.
Huh?
Archie Bunker could have made that same speech.
Don't say that.
Bunker? Bunker?
Yes, he did. And Archie Bunker was from Queens.
Archie Bunker?
Oh my gosh.
He would have made that same speech. Is y'all ought to be with your kids, get a job, and boy, how Mitch Miller played. I mean.
Oh no, he didn't go to Lawrence Welk. Yeah, he did. Yes, I did.
Well, what?
But it was so nice, girl. Because I was a Donnie and Marie fan. Do we have Attorney Fancher on? Coach May, do we have Attorney Fancher on? Coach May? Coach May?
20 seconds.
Do we have Attorney Fancher?
I'm going to be getting him on.
Okay, no worries. Thank you so much. Just let me know. Perfect.
15 seconds.
Thank you.
For conversations like you'd have at a family barbecue. And you never know who's going to drop by on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, change the world.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. Hey, WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio. AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, and all of my morning stars who stepped today from South Carolina out there on the left coast in Silver Valley. I feel you, Linear Bob, all my folks, all the people everywhere. Please join the Santita Jackson Morning Stars over on the Santita Jackson and Friends page and on the Santita Show YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe on that channel. Hey, Chaparral, how you doing today? I know you're going to call in. I know she is. I know it. Because we're talking about the progressives. It shouldn't be this way, but this is kind of sort of the way it's been playing years, for decades, the progressives versus the establishment Democrats. Now, the progressives bring in the new voters. They bring in the energized voters. Why are they the enemy of the party? They're still being treated that way. And established Democrats do not get it. They don't. And that's not a good thing. So everybody, let's talk about this at 773-763-WCPT, 773-763-9278. If you want to text me, you can go to that number, 773-9278. GWC Injury Lawyers gives you the opportunity to do that. So let's get to this discussion about establishment versus woke. Establishment versus woke or progressive Democrats. But like you've been saying, Attorney Hoffler, chair of Rainbow Push, outgoing president of the National Bar Association, and Dwight McKee, noted social scientist. Please, and Can't wait to hear from attorney Mark Fancher, National Conference of Black Lawyers. If you say, I love the poor, I love them, you're a progressive. Body, you're radical. But I guess that was Jesus's mark too, so I'll take it. Everybody in Chicago, we're going to have a high of 83 degrees. Scattered thunderstorms. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 86 degrees, mostly sunny. The Dow closed up 271 points yesterday. The NASDAQ closed up 114 points. The S&P 500 closed up 26 points. The Twins, well, they were triumphant over the Astros 5-3, and we will have a crosstown series today in Chicago. White House, versus the Cubs. You know, I love when that happens. Don't you? I love it. I love it. I love it. And have you been watching the Olympics? Well, they wind down this weekend, but wow, America keeps racking up the medals, everybody. But China's been triumphant on the gold medal stand. Well, here's where we are. 90 for the United States, 75 for China, Japan 47, Great Britain 54, Australia 43, Russia 60, and on it goes, everybody. Well, but when it comes to gold medals, China 34 thus far, the United States 30. For those people who are counting. Look, they've just been thrilling games, and you've got to give your love to all of the athletes from all over the world. You see whether they medaled or not, how hard they work and the discipline that it takes for them to be who they are. And so my hat goes off to every single Olympian today, yesterday, and forever. God bless them both. Richard Trumka, AFL CIO head, um, from the United Mine Workers, from a family of laborers, made his transition yesterday. 72, had a heart attack. He was going to be the keynote speaker at the Rainbow Push International Business luncheon. Well, it was a lunch. Will be when we're no longer virtual. The International Business Conference. That segment of the Rainbow Push convention. And please go to rainbowpush.org. Get registered. It's free, and you can attend the last 2 or 3 days of this conference. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. YouTube, you can see some really, really great, really great sessions with attorney C.K. Hoffler and Ben Crump and Stacey Abrams and Reverend Dr. William Barber and so many people, Bishop Barber. But he was going to be the lead speaker at our labor conference. God bless you, Richard Trumka. There's so much that he has done down through the years to stand up for working people, and we thank God for him today. Should we get the toxic substances out of our schools? Well, that is what Congressman Jamal Bowman and others are saying. Congressman Andy Lewis and Senator Ed Markey. They would amend the Toxic Substances Control Act to authorize grants for the remediation of contaminants in schools, where approximately 53 million children and 6 million adults spend a significant portion of their day, everybody. What about, we've talked about eviction moratoria, but is anyone talking about your utilities? Well, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib wants to cancel $40 billion in utility debt. So people, I guess, can have electricity, can have gas, and on, because folks are catching the devil trying to get that too. So everybody, let's talk about that going forward. You know what? Let's talk about the left and the right in the Democratic Party. Everyone was looking at the Nina Turner race in Cleveland. Many people expected her to win. In fact, at one point, she had a 35-point advantage over a fairly large field, more than 10 people who were running. And so it was an upset when Shontel Brown won. Now, Shontel Brown is someone who's very well known in Cleveland. She's been the head of the county party. She's been very active in Democratic Party politics, and she's very well regarded as well. She's more of a centrist or mainstream, but Nina Turner has been a former senator, and they have different styles. And many people I've spoken to in Cleveland have said that it kind of came down to that. It kind of came down to an appearance of who's more closely hewed to local politics, although Nina Turner is a former state senator. But then there was a lot of national money that came into both campaigns, a lot of national money that went into Shontel Brown's campaign in particular. So there's a whole moving parts here. Hakeem Jeffries, who is one of the leaders. He's an African American, one of the leaders of the establishment. And I was trying to pull the name Sewell, the congresswoman out of Alabama, of mine. She's a centrist Democrat. In fact, she went to law school with Michelle and Barack Obama. She was in between them at Harvard. Um, and fine person. And she's a centrist. And she and Hakeem Jeffries are heading up a new, basically centrist Democratic task force, not a black one, a centrist, a mainstream, an establishment Democratic task force. And so there is a headline from the New York Times that said, in a string of wins, Biden Democrats, that's what they're calling themselves, see a reality check for the left. Wow. Nina Turner, our punching Bernie Sanders ally who lost a special election for Congress in Ohio this week, had unique political flaws from the start. But other people are still saying that Shontel Brown's got political flaws because, in fact, Norman Solomon writes, Nina Turner's loss is oligarchy's gain. Wow. One of the candidates, Shontel Brown, the victor, sounded much like Hillary Clinton, who endorsed her 2 months ago. Meanwhile, Nina Turner dwelled on the kind of themes we always hear from Bernie Sanders, whose 2020 presidential campaign she served as national co-chair. Hakeem Jeffries said this: the extreme left is obsessed with talking trash about mainstream Democrats on Twitter when the majority of the electorate constitute mainstream Democrats at the polls. What do you think about that, everybody? What do you think about that? Was that the thing to say right now? I don't think so. Because at this point, one of the things I've told you, my father, Reverend Jesse Jackson, has said, do not gloat when you win, do not mope when you lose. Always be gracious. You're always going to have to see people coming and going, back and forth and back. Back always gets you to fourth, and fourth, you got to go back. That's the way it is. So I'm just trying to figure out where we're going. Of course, we've been talking with attorney C.K. Hoffler, outgoing president of the National Bar Association, the oldest, largest black bar association in the world, more than 65,000 lawyers. She's the chair of Rainbow Push as well. Brilliant practicing lawyer, of course, brilliant social scientist, Dr. D, Dwight McKee, and brilliant lawyer, great civil libertarian from the National Conference of Black Lawyers, attorney Mark Fancher. I'm going to, we've talked to attorney Hoffler. I'm going to hear from you again and you, Dwight McKee. But let me start with you, attorney Mark Fancher. The woke left, are they the problem? I mean, are they not delivering? Talk to me, Mark.
Oh, no, by no means they're the answer to the extent that there can be one within established political structures. But, I just have to say off the top, I'm a revolutionary, and a revolutionary's job is a revolutionary's job is to engage in critical analysis. And I think that, in looking critically at us, we have to make an honest assessment of and conclusion that we have been duped. There is a war that is being waged against oppressed people, not just in this country, but globally. It is an all-out, no-holds-barred war. But yet the propaganda, which is part of that war against the people, says that we're not warring against you. We're engaged in a democratic political process. And here are the rules for participating in the democracy. You limit your engagement to these electoral contests that we establish. You limit your participation in ways that are guided by and governed by rules that we establish. You only focus your energy and your attention on these things. And as long as you do that, then you are participating, you're doing your civic duty by participating, and you have no other political options, alternatives, or strategies that you should be considering. And what happens is that we focus on these things, like this congressional race, which has been rigged, and then when we lose, then we decide that we're the problem, that we're not delivering. But we have to understand that in a war, there are no rules. we need to think completely outside of the electoral process in terms of organizing and understand that a revolution, which is what we should be engaged in, which is upending the entire system and rebuilding it in a way that's consistent with the principles, of the highest moral order, requires that people on a mass level have a thorough and complete understanding of their circumstances and a thorough and complete understanding of what they must do. And we don't have that because the rules, the conventions of electoral politics say to us as a community that what we must do is not think about politics, that we look at the candidate that they parade in front of us and we make decisions about who to select and who to vote for based on what they tell us about these people. And then after we make that decision based on what they tell us about these people, then we go sleep again and we don't think about politics again until the next election. We need to understand on a mass level that every time capitalism talks to us, it's lying to us. Anything that the system says to us, anything that these powers, whether they're in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, it doesn't make any difference because they're all part of the same establishment. Anytime they talk to us, they're lying. And we have to go to original sources to find out the information that we need in order to make intelligent decisions. When we get to that point, when we become that politically mature, then we win. Otherwise, we lose. And I think the best example of it is your father. Your father is an honest, sincere, genuine freedom fighter who during his campaigns in 84 and 88 was, without saying so, building a revolution, reaching out to the broad masses of people who were oppressed, banding them together, and establishing a political agenda that was completely outside of the established conventional box. And he laid a foundation for revolutionaries to come behind him and to build on that and to make something really happen. But what happened is that a cynical politician came along by the name of Barack Obama, who used many of the same themes, the same strategy, and it duped people into believing that he was a continuation of the efforts that had been established by Reverend Jackson. And then he rode into office on a wave of that type of support and then proved himself to be just another conventional Democrat politician. We can't be duped like that. We can't be fooled like that. The people's lives are at stake. And the longer we remain asleep, the more likely it is that we're going to get hurt.
Dwight and CK, your thoughts? CK, your thoughts, Dwight? Then yours.
Well, I have a slightly different view, but that's why it's always good for us to express ourselves. I just think that and a slightly different view from what Mark was saying, and I do appreciate his brilliance and his passion and what he is saying. My view is with this election in Ohio, it did boil down to, as I said before, the style, the approach, and the message that the community prepared to hear. Brown just resonated more with the community at this moment in time. A lot of times, progressives do drive the agenda of the party. You need people stirring up the pot. And sometimes it resonates completely and they win the election. And other times, they push the mainstream candidates to becoming slightly more liberal and their message resonates. I think in this instance, you saw an example of Nina Turner's message, while people felt there's a time and place for it, just didn't resonate with the voters at this moment. That didn't mean that she wasn't fabulous and didn't do great things for that community, for that state. Much to the contrary. It's just that they felt at this time, given what, and this is according to people that I did talk, that they feel the agenda and mission should be. They just felt that Chantel Brown's message resonated more with them, and they were ready for a change. And I think it was just that simple.
Dwight McKee, before we go to the caller?
I'm a little closer to the mark on this one, is that because even when you deliver, your reward is homelessness. Even when you deliver, your reward is not invited to the White House, but 10 years. It's you become just utility. You become used to push the Democrats over the edge. And then once they get there, while you are involved in life and death issues, they go on vacation for 6 weeks. And with no concern about whether or not when they come back, you have a house to stay in. Their homes are locked into their contract, whereas yours is up for negotiation. And rather than address your situation, they go on vacation for 6 weeks and say, if you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. God bless America. And so there is no tangible return on being progressive that I've seen. Is that it only works in behalf of those people who you put your energy in getting them elected under the pretext that they are progressive and will help somebody. And again, as Obama, and then when it's your turn, they're in Martha's Vineyard doing book deals, making $60 million, and you can't find them anywhere.
I think that at the end of the day, Mark, were you about to say something? Look.
I was just very quickly going to say, as unlikely as it might seem, I wanted to agree with Attorney Hoffler. I do think that this image resonated, but that's the question I'm raising: is why? I think on a mass level, our people are not thinking critically enough. They're not suspicious enough of the messages that they're receiving, and they're left to conclude that in order to win, in order to succeed in this political system, you've got to have somebody who's moderate and who gets along. And we can't win that way. We can only win through overturning the system.
Because you gotta vote against yourself. You gotta work against yourself, and that does not work. Because you just heard Daniel from New Hampshire, who said, "Look, I'm 37 years old. I'm way away from that." And he said, "Look, the left, the so-called progressive politics, those are my politics. Those are the politics of the future. That's something Reverend saw 40 years ago, plus. That's something Dr. King saw 50 plus years ago. These are the politics of the future." And pushing up against them, look, let me tell you this right now. I am not trying to brown up imperialism. How about that? Let me just give you that. I don't sign up for that. I want to put on a vest and coat. Coat, Mark, Dwight, and CK. When I see those two Secret Service agents lift a coat that was basically of armor, are you kidding me? No. I didn't see that. And that's when he had protection. Because we lived with death threats every single day. Secret Service was a new experience for us. So wait, I didn't sign up for that. And you didn't sign up for it either. That's not what you need. You need Rashida Tlaib to say, you know what, you all need relief on your utility bills. You need Cori Bush to sleep on the Capitol steps so someone can save your rent so you will not be evicted. I'll be very clear. That's what it takes. The centrists are not doing that for you. They're not, and them. Joe Biden is delivering because you're pushing him. That's what he's responding to. And I like the man personally very much, whatever my political differences are with him, and they are many. But let us be very, very clear. It is the progressives who are pushing the envelope here. They are. Let's get clear on that. I don't want to even where my is. And so while I know it takes the resistance at the bottom to push this bird up in the air. And that's for the people. So no, you all aren't just delivering for me. You're not giving me a gift. That's part of the problem. Thank you, Mark. Your thinking is off. You must be a critical thinker. You got to get beyond someone's style. Someone who makes you feel better. Someone who looks more middle class to you. Because for Black folks, we got a thing with that. We need you to look like a teacher. We need you to look like fabulous. Instead of getting substance. Fannie Lou Hamer doesn't work for us because she's not going to resonate that well at our sorority functions and whatnot. Yeah, I'm put there. and at our alumni functions for our great colleges, whether they're PWIs or HBCUs. But it's Fannie Lou Hamer who went to New Jersey and found you and kicked out a door for you. It was Dr. King who abandoned the privileges of his class, became a revolution, and changed the world. Jesse Jackson did the same thing. We better wake up, because that is what you need. You need progress, not someone who's going to sit in the middle and let us sink to the bottom of the earth. People don't have any food. Are you kidding me? People are getting kicked out of their homes. This moratorium that's been reestablished is only going to last for a few more months. What are we going to do? Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a few minutes. John to him, okay? And yes. Thank you, hon. And please let John and Blake and the tax doctor know that we will be coming to them, okay?
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, you all, we're talking on our Facebook Live, so you have at it. Mark and Dwight and CK. Hello.
First off, Santita, I love what you just said. Love what you just said.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to run, but I wanted to say this. It's very interesting how at the end of the day, the progressives do drive the agenda, but it is really the more conservative part of the Democratic Party that benefits from it. But it's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been that way. And I don't think that's going to change. That's why I think you need both.
And you know
Because
what?
at the end of the day,
That's right. No, I'm sorry, CK.
we don't. Politically, if the Democrats don't maintain the Senate and don't maintain the seats in the House, no one's going to win. No one's going to win. So,
at the end of the day, and Karen, I wish you'd call in, Karen. 773-763-WCPT, 773-763-9278. And to be fair, look, some people just like Chantel Brown. They did. I respect that. But I know that even if Nina Turner won, and now that Chantel Brown looks like she will be going to Congress, you're still going to have to push them. You might not have had to push Nina as hard, but you're going to have to push. So I think Mark makes the point that you must think critically, and act in a way that is going to get you need. I promise you.
Selfishly.
Yeah, how about that?
Because progressive politics to me, and I come out of a rights tradition, is widening the pulling other people, those who have been neglected, violated, those who have not had the opportunities or the resources for a decent quality. And being progressive for us has not just meant upper mobility for those who made it. It's been pulling into a functional resource base those who have not had the opportunities and those who have struggled. And that's what's missing to me, is that we function and define progressive politics today as just more opportunities for those who already
1 minute,
as opposed to really fighting for those who don't have, for the dispossessed.
Amen. Stay right there. We're coming up.
okay. Dwight and Mark and Santita, I will see you again. Thank you. This is a great show as usual, Santita.
Oh, you're the best. I'm going to call you later so we can work out, because CK is going to be doing her segment on this show too. How about that? Yes.
Well, thank you. All righty. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend.
God bless you too.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, take care, CK. All right, everybody, call us or text us at 773-763-9278. Thank you, Cosme. 773-763-9278. I want to hear your voices today. I really want to hear what you have to say. I really, really, really do. I want to hear what everybody has to say. But girl, trying to read all this stuff and then trying to read it on there, call me out. What? Thank you.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world.
Love it, everybody. We've been talking about the progressive Democrats and the establishment Democrats. It seems like there's a little bit of a back and forth. Hakeem Jeffries says that the extreme left is obsessed with talking trash about mainstream Democrats on Twitter when the majority of the electorate constitute mainstream Democrats at the polls. What do you think about that? I mean, at the end of the day, you need them all, right? So look, I tell you, I keep going back to what my dad says. Be gracious. Don't gloat when you win. Don't mope when you lose. Be gracious, everybody, because you need everybody. You really, really do. But you need to stick to your principles. And, that's something, Democrats, become dinos real quick. That's not going to work. Let me go to, let me see, it's John from Rockford. John, what's on your mind today?
Yes, I agree with what you say, and the thing of it is we can't fight amongst each other. I'm a truck driver. I listen to radio. Mm-hmm. There's very few shows like this. The whole radio listening audience gets by that crazy right-wing crap. And it's a military. And I understand I'm not as liberal as a lot of people, okay? I'm more mainstream. But the thing of it is you have to look at, Target is paying for education. Now, Walmart is doing the same. Companies are giving raises. I've never seen nothing like this in my life. And it's because, like you said, progress for a lot of this stuff. I like Bernie Sanders. I think kids in college, my daughter's got $200 to college debt. Ooh. That's crazy. That's crazy. But the thing of it is we can't fight amongst each other, really. I'm scared to death to think that man would have won another 4 years.
But you know what? Let me, John. I want you to stay right there. I want to engage you, John, and I want to thank you for your service and goods to us all across the country. And I want you to be careful, okay? But don't leave, because I want you to engage us. Because when you said it has $200,000 debt, number one, you said you were a truck driver, and your baby's got $200,000 worth of debt. That is it's like a dagger in my heart, because this child should not have to be a slave to the rhythm for the rest of her life because she has got debt trying to get an education. That's absurd. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. My parents have 5 children, and my parents have their own ideological differences. I don't mind a fight. What I do mind is disrespect. Fight is okay. But at some point, you have to resolve the fight, resolve the conflict. And then, I'm going to get some of what I want. You get some of what you want. Everybody's not going to get all that they want, but we get enough of what we want. So we're together. So a fight, I don't mind. What I mind is the disrespect. Okay, you won. I get it. But don't gloat. And Nina, don't you mope. Because at the end of the day, Chantel, only 13% I see that came up on my timeline, nobody voted in Cleveland. So you don't know what the true will of the people is, and you see it when folks get upset. So, so what do you think is the answer, John?
Well, no, I don't. To be honest,
you know something. You work every day, and you've raised a child to maturity. You know something. Come on now.
That's right. And I feel terrible that I'm just getting ahead now. My 3 kids are out of school. Mm-hmm. 2 of them graduated. They put themselves through school, and they had this debt. I just found out this yesterday, and I feel terrible. And now I'm going to try. I want to retire in 4 years, and I want to be able to help her, somehow. because she's done so much. But I mean, she's straddled by this debt. And I like Bernie Sanders. Mm-hmm. My only thing with Bernie and, like, I don't know Nina too much, but AOC and that is like the progressives remind me of Joe Walsh, the Republican a few years ago from Chicago. Mm-hmm. They come off real strong, and people are afraid of that. Okay.
But you know what? But you know what, John? You know what's crazy about that? You have radical problems that require radical solutions. We ought not be afraid of the people who are going to fight. Right? Your daughter doesn't need status quo. She needs. Do you know how much $200,000 worth of? She's going to be living with you a long time, John.
No, she's doing pretty good. She went to law school and she just got a really good job. So,
do you know how much of her money is going to go to that? Hold on, John, because I knew Michelle Obama, and a big chunk of their income went to paying off their college debts before he became a U.S. Senator, and he started getting a book deal. I mean, that's a whole lot of money.
That was the only thing that saved him. Of course, then he became president. You're right. And it's not just my daughter; it's all these kids.
Yes.
The way I look at it is like, if you ever took a canoe down a river, right? The people with privilege are going downstream, and the ones like us, we have to go paddle upstream. And if you stop paddling 1 minute, you're floating back. And that's the way I think of Democrats and Republicans. I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but I just want the people to know, in the end, we have to come together because we are fighting an uphill battle. Mm-hmm. And I think it's, Santita, I remember your father, and I'm telling you, it's only getting worse. That Republican Party, I don't even recognize it anymore.
Well, it's not just the Republicans, though. It's the corporatists. The corporatists in both parties are driving the agenda. And power concedes nothing without demand. You always have to push. The price of your liberty is eternal vigilance, John. You can't stop. And we for you. Okay?
And I agree with you. And I think AOC and Bernie and all the other progressives are pushing the agenda. And, I think Joe Biden bought that right now. But I agree with you. You have to push. And I think AOC and Bernie and all these progressives deserve a lot of credit, because these companies don't just give out free education and, guarantee you, in my whole lifetime, I've never seen it. I've never seen it. And then just recently, I just happened to get a decent job and really takes care of me. That's the first time in my life. And
they're taking care of you. You're taking care of them. And they have seen people, let me tell you something, John. They've seen people out in these streets for a year. They have started to see the anger. Barack Obama told President Obama, then President Obama told the heads of the Wall Street firms, he said, I'm the only one between you and the pitchfork guys. Okay? So let's be very clear. They're looking out in these streets. They know they need to treat you well. And you ought to be praying for all the people to continue to protest and vote so that you can be treated with the respect that you deserve.
You trust me. I was supposed to deliver that day. They had downtown Chicago there. I was supposed to go to 15th and Ashland.
Okay.
And, called and canceled it. And you're right. You're absolutely right. But I just, in the end, and I agree with you. I really do. But in the end, because what's going on the other side scares the living heck out of me. It really does. I'm so scared to think if he would have got another 4 years, I don't think he could have stopped him.
Let me tell you something. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, John. Feel empowered. Get vote and get the people around you to vote. And instead of talking about The Voice and all this wonderful stuff on TV, have so when you sit down with your buddies and get a chance to talk or talk over the radio or whatever it is, however you can communicate, have these kind of conversations, okay? I need to go to
Yes,
some other
thank you
callers.
so much.
But no, but thank you, okay?
Okay, thank you, Santita.
My love to your daughter and to your other children. He wants to retire in 4 years. He is going to be helping to pay these bills and trying to tell you something. Blake, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Santita, I'm just thinking about strategy and that with the COVID positivity so high, what would it be to have the emergency, mail-in ballots and the ballot initiatives and stuff like that?
So what are you wanting now?
Well, we're like 6 months away from primaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we're in the middle of something, right? Because you just had the special election with Chantel Brown and Nina Turner. And you're right. We're really, people are getting registered to vote for 2022, excuse me, and all of that.
Right. So then, what's all these local municipalities going to do with COVID if it's breaking out so much right now? And how are we going to vote? Are they going to do the emergency measures that we did before?
You know what? I'll push that next week. Okay, Blake? I'll ask because, I think we're going to come into a really tough fall. It seems like it might be tough again for us. We're going to see because, we just had Lollapalooza here in Chicago. You had the people who were out celebrating after the Bucks won in Milwaukee. People are out here again while the variant is out here. So I thank you for that. Renee, what's on your mind today?
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I just want to say, thanks. When with student loan debt, my oldest daughter, she was to go to get a master's, undergrad and master's, thanks to Uncle Sam, hers, and my youngest daughter, she graduated from Vanderbilt. Thanks to them because they paid for her tuition. I just had to pay for her housing. My youngest son graduated from DePaul with honors, and then he had the honor extended to him to go to Harvard Law School. And that honor is going to cost him for the rest of his life. He's a brilliant child. He passed the bar the first time, had his scores sent to other places so he could gauge how well he did. But what he was not able to do is land a big job. He went on one interview and the guy said, "Hey, my daughter wanted to go to Harvard. She couldn't get in. How did you get in?" I don't know what was going on there. Maybe some hidden racism going on. But what I called to say, Santita, is yes, we need people fighting for us. We need people who will cancel out student loan debt. We need to be treated like people in other countries where you can go to school and not have to pay for the rest of your life. My daughter, the youngest, went to school in China for a semester. It was not expensive to go to school in China across the sea, but it's expensive to go to school in Chicago down the street. That's ridiculous. But I've called to say that sometimes the message resonates with people because the candidate has more corporate money, more dark money, more evil money to run constant commercials, put people on the ground and call homes constantly. They have more corporate money that also comes with Democratic leaders, the heavy hitters like Hillary Clinton and Clyburn, who people trust, and that can get out some votes. And let's not forget, there was a very low voter turnout.
Extremely.
In the election too. So that plays a role. People are apathetic, and some people. I mean, we're still going through a pandemic. There are still people who can't go back to work. They might not even be focused on an election. They might not even be aware that there's an election, especially if they're homeless, like a lot of people are. Now, Nina Turner, she talked about the needs of the people against the oligarchs. She talked about human rights and dignity. She pledged to help people. Brown pledged to be for people who are being charged with human rights across the ocean, and she got a whole lot from those people. She pledged herself, which goes contrary to my beliefs, because people should be treated with dignity. I believe all entitled to stay in their homes. I believe that innocent children shouldn't be slaughtered in the street, and they have been charged with war crimes and human rights violations. But Chantel Brown, she pledged her support to them. People need to be aware of what's going on so that they can make better decisions. And our money should be going to help us. We have a lot of poor people in this country. We have a lot of homeless people in this country. We have a lot of people who are on the brink of becoming poor. So our money should be pledged to help the people here, not pledged for weapons to hurt people in any place in this world. And I just wish other people all over this country would get involved and not be apathetic and look out for their own interests, or stop feeling like their vote doesn't count, so then they don't even cast it.
Well, I don't want you. I don't want you to feel. I don't want you to feel like there's no hope here. Because the great thing is, with people like you, Renee, you call people and make sure that they are registered to vote and get them involved in the process. I think we've got to begin to change the way we engage each other. I would like Mark to speak to this as well, Renee. When I was growing up, all around my dining room table, one of the reasons I love talk radio is because it feels like I'm at home. Dwight, you said that I was very at home in talk radio because these issues that my family would talk about, would come and talk about around our dining room table. This was the gossip for us, right? So I think we have got to begin to change what we discuss on a fundamental level, because these are the things, Dwight, that put food on the table. We've got to have some conversations that really make some sense, Dwight.
Oh, absolutely. And we have to, as Mark said a little while ago, get past the symbolic to the substantive. We really spend a lot of time operating on the symbolic. Mm-hmm. For us, Obama was mostly symbolism. It was a black family, beautiful black wife, two beautiful black young people, a real attractive, accomplished black man. And we had never seen that operate at that level before.
With that level of acceptance, right?
Correct. Palatability before. At the White House. And so for us, we were willing to forego the substantive for the symbolic. Never raised the hard questions, never required a payoff, even though we were the ones responsible for the victory, because we didn't want to embarrass or put pressure on such a glorious symbol. And so as long as our politics are symbolic politics and everybody else is playing hardball, we're always going to lose. We will never win because we're not willing to put the pressure on those guys who need to be have pressure put on them, because we're not trying to create any havoc. And politics is the game of havoc. It is who creates the most havoc that walks away with the rewards. To the victor belong the spoils. But you have to have a victory to be the victor. You have to fight a fight. And you will either be the victor or the victim in politics.
Mark, I've got about 3 minutes. They belong to you.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with all of that. And I think that, a good first step for us is just changing our political culture. Right now, our political culture says we repeat this mantra over and over again: register and vote, register and vote, register and vote. Nothing wrong with that, but we need to say more than that. It's register and vote and read register and vote, and analyze. Register and vote, have political discussions. Register and vote and organize. And do it on a sustained and continuous basis. Because if we don't, all that we do is we send a bunch of ignorant people to the polls who are voting based on what they've been programmed and told to vote for, which doesn't take us anywhere. And, I think one of the best examples is in Detroit. I mean, Detroit sent Rashida Tlaib to Congress. This is a very politicized group of voters who knew to do that. But recently, there was an election just a couple of days ago where on the ballot was the product of grassroots organizing and thought called Proposal P, which would amend the charter, the city charter, to provide one of the most progressive cities ever, a moratorium on water shutoffs with affordability, an end to tax foreclosures, all kinds of progressive changes and things. Dark money entered into that race and started sending messages that passage of this proposal was going to ruin municipal pensions. A blatant lie. And people believed it. And the proposal failed. And things like that don't fail when people know that they're being lied to. And the only way that you know you're being lied to is if you study, if you analyze, if you discuss, if you organize. And so that's what needs to be our political culture, and we don't have that right now.
I mean, because we are putting style precedent. And Mark, in 1 minute, that is like dangerous. It's dangerous for us.
Oh, it very much is, and nobody else does that. I mean, we just tend to go for that because we've been oppressed so hard for so long, and we're so hungry for positive images. We're so hungry to look for somebody who's being accepted, and much of that is a function not only of ignorance but internalized inferiority. We can't be successful. We can't achieve our own goals and objectives unless we get the approval of a dominant majority, and that we're accepted by them. And so somebody who wins that acceptance, that's regarded as a victory to us. That's backwards thinking. That's sick thinking.
Absolutely.
We have to have pride in self. We have to be independent and self-determining, and we have to think and analyze independently. And until we do that, we're going to be stuck on this, continuing treadmill that takes us absolutely nowhere.
Well, I mean,
Sometimes backwards.
but to the salt mines, and you're at the bottom of that, because do remember when President Obama, when then Senator Obama started to run, Dwight, he was not the favorite of the Black community. Hillary Clinton was.
Right.
But when he won with white people in Iowa, Black people then said, oh, we finally have a Black guy who white people will accept. So now we're going to accept him. That is backwards thinking. It's backwards thinking. It's backwards thinking. You got to stop that. And we all have to move towards cognitive thinking, because Kucinich was my first candidate of choice in that cycle anyway, because of his substance, and that's my faith. It's substance. I'm not up for browning up imperialism. I'm not into dropping bombs. I'm into ending poverty. I don't want any more wars. I think all this is crazy. If the candidate's going to offer that up, they've got my support. I don't care what color you are, what's your orientation. That's where I am with that. I got a minute and a half. It belongs to you.
And then we refuse to make demands because we don't want to embarrass them. We didn't want them to feel as if that we had turned on them. When the nature of politics is demands, the nature of politics is we put you in office for a reason. The reason is not symbolic. If he really became the president for another group of people who made those demands, he did more for everybody but the people that put him in. And I don't want to make him a bad guy because it's mentality. It's an abusive woman mentality or an abusive man mentality.
Whoever's been abused. Whoever's been abused behaves this way. You don't feel you deserve.
Yeah, is that if we feel like if we don't make them uncomfortable, they won't beat us as long. And it's the wrong approach to politics.
1 minute.
It's not a mature approach to politics. it's not him, it's the mentality of we really don't deserve to be here. We really don't deserve to demand what we demand. All we want to be is in the room or in the corner.
In the corner.
And invited in the corner and invited to the party, invited to the ball.
And that is not for everybody. So think about that. And whoever you elect, remember you have to push them because they have a lot of people. Once they're elected, they actually represent everybody. And the people who fought against them become their very best friends. So you have to continue to advocate for yourself. You have to do it, everybody. Stay right here on the Santita Jackson and Friends page. We're going to get some closing thoughts from Dwight McKee and from Mark Fancher right here on the Santita Jackson and Friends page. I'll see you on Keep Up Alive this weekend. And, of course, go to rainbowpush.org. You can get the last of this wonderful virtual free convention. I want you to go on to rainbowpush.org, get registered, everybody. Stay with me on the Santita Jackson and Friends page. God bless you. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you, Coach May. You've been a jewel. I'm sorry I did not thank you and Mike again on there, but let me thank you for everybody out here on the Santita Jackson and Friends page. At the beginning of the show, about 5:30, I did not have a board up. Mike Mercado was working in the other building to this radio station and worked this out. And Cosme came on in. He was not supposed to be in today. So my eternal gratitude is to you, Cosme, and to Mike Mercado. Thank you so much for all that you've done for us today. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You all are just great. But I want to get some closing thoughts. Dwight, you were trying to say something, but I had to get off there. I had to be obedient to my clock. Dwight, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was really going to say, Santita, it's a Cinderella mentality. We be abused so long at home. We just glad to be invited to the party, to the ball. And as long as we get out of there by 12 o'clock, that's okay. We'll not stay for the whole party because we've been abused so long having to wash and clean and iron and never been dressed up. That if we can just get to the ball, for a minute, we feel like we're somebody.
And if you just remember the true story of Cinderella, Cinderella was really the princess. But somebody else up. How about that? You are. You need to learn your power. See, Mark, I think that's my thing. See the fact that there's so much of our power that we're not clear on. And I thank you for acknowledging. I think Reverend Jackson has been very sincere. He's been very sincere. He had an opportunity to go further in politics, if you can believe that. But you know what? He chose not to do that because he felt he'd have to sell out our people to do it. And not just black people, all the people who sent him there. There's some poor white folks who made him run. There's some poor farmers who put on, Mark, they put on hoods. And they came out and endorsed Reverend. They said if people in our community know we're endorsing him, it would not work out well for us, but we are going to endorse him. And you know what? Many of them formed an informal security team for us all around the country. So this is not just this is a principle thing, y'all. Really. We have to grow up in our politics. Mark, your thoughts before we go?
Yeah. No, I just, affirm, as strongly in what you just said about your dad. He's just an excellent example of principle, organizing, and leadership. And in order to get to that place, we really have to do a lot of. And unfortunately, in many circles, reading is priority. But the one thing that people in particular, are not really is the Bible. And if you don't read anything else, read that. If you read it honestly, then you find out that we have to have an abiding to the poor and the oppressed. If you read that, you find out that your commitment to those things and commitment to principles and morality is you. The hostility of the world. It is going to buy you a lot of opposition. And you will learn, if you read it, that in spite of those things, you have to hold firm. And you have to maintain your integrity and your commitment to those values and your commitment to the oppressed and to the poor. And your dad has done that. And so if we want a whole lot of people to be, more of them are going to have to read. And if they don't want to do it just because it's the right thing to do, then if they just do a little bit of thinking, then they understand that they need to do it for their own sakes, for their own benefit. I mean, just the entire system is, then they begin to recognize that. You had the truck driver on, who has a child who is graduating from law school and is going to be a slave to debt forever. Well, think about that. Look at how the system has been rigged. You have a child who's raised in a working class home, who understands the struggles of working class people, whose interests most naturally are going to be on the side of people who are working, people who've been marginalized, people who are poor. And if left to her own devices and to her own interests, when graduating from law school, will make a commitment to a career that's focused on fighting for those people and fighting for those interests. But to make sure that she never does that when she gets that law degree, the system is rigged to put her into so much debt that the only alternative is to go to work for a large law firm or a large corporation, which is working against the very interests that she holds most dear. And she sacrifices her entire career and her entire life to fight for those forces which have kept her, her family, and her community down all of her life. How backwards, how destructive is that? How insane is that? How immoral is that? And in order to break that cycle, in order to break that paradigm, it takes a level of organization, education, enlightenment, and coordination that we're nowhere close to having. But we can start, as individuals to begin to break it.
Amen. You pick up that Bible. The Bible did not deny the poor. That's Jesus' mission. How can you not stand for that? How can you stand up for the oligarchs? How can you do it? What is wrong with you? Yeah, I'm coming out of that bag today. What's wrong with you? How can you see any child and the adults that they become? How can you see any human being, any child of God, go hungry? How can you do it? How can you think that homelessness is something that somebody deserves? If someone has a broken spirit and they have lost their way and they've lost their home, they don't deserve to be out on the streets. They don't deserve that. How can you do it? What did you say, Effie Ralph? I is rich or I am poor. What? Come on, y'all. No. Stylistically, I know. Fannie Lou Hamer was just a little, but you know what? She fought for you. That's what she did. In Dr. King's lifetime, he was hated. You knew that you were attracted to him as a child when you started working with Reverend Dwight McKee. He was hated. And the more that he aligned himself with the poor and the least of these, the more we hated him. Yeah, black folks hated him too. He couldn't get these big pulpits. The big church here in Chicago, Reverend Joseph Jackson's church. He was head of the National Baptist Convention, the biggest Baptist convention, the biggest church convention of black folks in the world. Wouldn't let him in his pulpit. And when he died, and they renamed the street that his church sits on, after he moved the entrance of the church from the front door to the side door so his address wouldn't have to reflect Dr. King's name. Don't tell me about some cold-blooded stuff. I've seen it in my lifetime. We're going to have to grow up in our politics, everybody. Some subjects and verbs might not agree, but if they're going to fight for you, you need to support them. Went to sleep on the Capitol steps. She said, "I can't be here." I think people are going to fight like that. Bernie Sanders can't figure out a suit. Can't figure it out. Anyone who stands to Congress or to the White House or to the State House or to your city council or to your county council, you need to make sure that they're doing that. That's what you need to do. That's your responsibility. And if you elect people and pay people, because that's how they get their money, who do not take care of shame on you, you ought to vote them out. The only reason we're sitting here starving, the only reason we're sitting here debt, the president of a pen to eliminate all of the student debt. They could do it. They could eliminate everybody's utility bill problems. They could do it with a stroke of a pen. They did it for corporate America when they decided to close America down and the world down. They got paid. You didn't get paid. And you better watch that PPP money. Because some people, little people, are going to go to jail, not big people. If you didn't spend it the way the government wants you to spend the money. Dwight McKee, your thoughts?
No, I think I'm wrapping up. I think Mark said it all.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Mark. Always just coming to us with the biblical perspective, and you too, Dwight. And I want to thank everybody today. Let's stay in these topics, everybody. Let's stay engaged. Saying this is what you need. These are the things you ought to be talking about. These are the things you ought to be thinking about, praying about, working for. Only I think about this man driving this truck and his daughter. He's so proud of her with all the education that she's been able to get. She's got $200,000. It will take her years and not to win, wipe it out. Michelle and Barack Obama in their 40s were saddled with debt. It wasn't until he became. Huh?
That's $10,000 a year for 20 years.
But then that.
I was just talking about $10,000 a year for 20 years.
Oh yeah, at least. At least. A debt that cannot be renegotiated. Children, they're not taking from them. Yeah, whatever you say about Gaddafi, when you got married in Libya, you got $50,000. Whatever you say about Gaddafi, wherever you wanted to go to school, any place in the world, the state paid for it because they were investing in you. Whatever you say about Gaddafi, they eliminated poverty in Libya on his watch with all of that oil. Why? Because he said, you know what? Yeah, did he become wealthy? Of course. Yeah, he did. But what he did do, he made sure that the rest of his people didn't go poor. Come on. When you're sitting around here talking all this junk about Castro, my grandmama chopped sugar cane and picked beans in Cuba, okay? And she said to me, and she didn't talk a lot of politics, and she was as conservative as they come. She said, you could say a lot about him, about Castro. She said, but you know what? When I was a child and I was down there working, I was a little more than this. I know Cuba on every corner. I know when doctors around the world, they go there. And they're able to farm them out. I know they're the most literate nation in the hemisphere. Not the United States. Not Canada. Cuba. Think about that. Some people invest in people invest in war. And if we invest in war, as we continue to do, we are not going to make it. That is unsustainable. And more than that is ungodly. That's why it's unsustainable. Robert Williams chopping sugarcane is very hard work for a man, and it was very hard work for a child, and that was my grandmother, Gertrude Davis Brown. So when you hear me every day, you hear her. That's in my lineage. She would hop on a boat as a child and go chop sugarcane, and then when my mother was a little girl, she'd bring her with her. Don't get me started. I don't want people. And as my mama said in a sermon many, many years ago, Dwight and Mark, Jesus needs some street fighters. You all need to get out here and roll up your sleeves and get busy. All this poverty that we're drowning in, that's because we want it, because it's not unacceptable to us yet. Before it rolls up on your doorstep. What do they say? The depression is when the recession is when your neighbor doesn't have a job, and the depression is when you don't have a job. All this injustice and inequality ought to be unacceptable to everybody. That's right, Paula. Don't get me started. Are you kidding me? This ought to be unacceptable to you. And the only reason this exists is because it's not unacceptable to you. Think about that. Dwight, would you like to say anything before we go? Anyone?
God bless you.
Don't eat ham or bacon. That is what that is what our grandmothers in the nation used to tell us all the time. My father was like, "Please do not say that to my children. That is not what Allah." He said, "Allah's an arm, a leg, a head." Oh my heavens! He said, "Do not tell my children that. Please don't do that." Oh, that is not what that is. I love everybody, but you know, that's right. Some gospel gangsters. Jesus needs some street fighters, Effie. Jesus was functioning with a minority too. Everybody was killed, by the way. Please give me a break. Mark, I just love you. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? Another fun thing you'd like to drop on us?
No, just the same right back at you. Just say, I did get a little nervous when you started talking about the sorority luncheons, but we all are still alive, and so
get out of here.
Another day.
Don't look. Don't get because you know I am not bad, but you know I just know we've got to get over ourselves on even our classism, right?
Oh yeah.
We got to get. Look, I went to Howard. I mean, come on, get out. What? Get over yourself on that.
Yeah, Mark, I told them this morning they were more Greek than Aristotle.
Oh my gosh. You know, look, I get it. Look, the Howard Gospel class, I love Howard, that's cool. It's still not what? They come every year during a spring break and they sing at Push. I said, wait a minute, do you all have a charter yet? And they looked at me, everybody said, no. I said, oh, come on. You know, there's some things that we have got to figure out because, like you said, Mark and Dwight, there's so much of our self-esteem that has to be, and covered. You know, Dr. Ron Walters, before he died, was on my old radio show. And he said the great gift of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, he said, and of your father, by the way, has been that of restoration. And this was in the run-up to the 2008 campaign. We were in the 2008 campaign. And he said, and he felt that Barack was being positioned as President Obama, then Senator Obama, was being positioned as a restorative figure. And that's because we felt that there was a restoration. You know, even in the story, in the Newsweek cover story about Michelle, they said, you know, and the fact that she's brown, I mean, really brown. I mean, that was played into and we got played on that. Think about it. That's right, Mehdi. I got started. Because we're going to have to grow up in our politics. Because you all do not know clearly what is going on out here. January 6th was not a one-off. There's some people out here lying. There's some people out here who are real serious as we're looking at mandates for vaccines, mandates for masks. People are up in arms all over the world, and they are armed up. And we need to be real clear. When Dr. King said to Andrew Young just before he died, he said, don't say peace, peace when there is no peace. There's no peace out here. There's quiet. And that ought to make you uneasy. Think about that and pay attention. Mark, Dwight, anything else before we go?
Nothing except have a great weekend.
I'll see you next week. Bless your heart. Sending you much love, Mark. Can't wait for you to write a book also. Thank you. Dwight McKee, you also. And again, Mark Mercado and Cosme Lozano and Mark Pinsky and Matt Cummings and Devin and everyone who helped us to get on the air today. Thank you so much. Cosme, thank you so much. Are you still there, Cosme? He might have had to run to another studio, but I want to thank them all. We had quite the on the air. I thank everyone for making that happen. Sending you all much love. I'll see you at Keep Hope Alive with Reverend Jesse Jackson on Sunday from 7 to 9 this Sunday. And also go to rainbowpush.org. And also the Rainbow Push YouTube channel so that you can see all of these wonderful events that we had during the convention. You had a lot of people. You had Stacey Abrams. You had Bishop Barber. You had Attorney Ben Crump, and Attorney C.K. Hoffley. You had a lot of great people. We were going to have Richard Trumka, God rest his soul, the head of the AFL-CIO. He was to have been the keynote speaker at our labor event. He made his transition yesterday. God bless him. God bless him. And God bless you, everybody. I love you all so much. See you Sunday. And I'll see you next week on the Santita Jackson Show. God bless.